In this lesson, we'll be texturing the graph. Okay, so it's been a little bit difficult to be able to read this graph with the gray on gray. So let's go ahead and get a few textures in here. So for the colors of this, I'd like to actually use those original colors that we had in your 0 to end file in Illustrator. So I just popped that open, and I'm going to pull this over off to the side, and we'll actually be able to just sample from anywhere on our screen with the textures here in Cinema 4D. So what I'll do is go ahead and create a new material, and we'll double click that to open it up. Now I want these to be very, very plain. I don't want them to feel like the shadows or the speculars are really, looking very, very 3D. I just want them mostly to have those 3D deformations with our camera and really be able to have that 3D feel, but I still want them to almost have textures like a 2D graph would, where it's more flat. So a lot of times you can just plug that into the luminance if you want it to be totally flat, and it will just give you a straight version of that color. But I still want just a little bit of shadowing, especially around the text where I need a little bit of shadow to give me some contrast in those super tiny counter spaces. So because of that, I'm going to uncheck the specular, and we'll be plugging everything in just to the color. So very, very simple. So I'm going to pull over that Illustrator just so you can see that those swatches for a second. And over here, I'll just click in that color swatch and choose the Choose Screen Color. And then I can just come over to my Illustrator file and select maybe that kind of teal color. So you can see that was this one right here. And then I'll just go ahead and say OK. And we can call this one teal. Alright, so then we have a teal texture. And then I'm just going to quickly duplicate this a few times by control dragging it out. And I'm actually going to have one extra color besides the 4 main colors because I want to have kind of a background sort of cream color. So I'll just open that one up, and we'll come in here, and that's just going to be kind of a very, very light yellow color. Not totally white, but pretty close. Okay, and we'll call this background, actually we'll just call it off-white because we may end up using it for some of the text depending on where it ends up in our composition. Okay, let's do our red color. So again, we'll just come in, choose our screen color, pick from that kind of mauve color. It's probably a better description. It's more of a mauve than a red. And then we've got that really pretty yellow color, and we'll call that yellow. You could probably give it something more descriptive like buttercup or daffodil, but I'll leave that up to you if you want to change the color name of that. And then for this last one, it's kind of a navy color, so we'll just go ahead and name it navy, blue. And there we have it. So that's just a really quick way that we can texture or grab those textures and get them in there. And then we can just start adding them. So first thing I want to do is add a background that can grab that off-white texture, which is what I want all my backgrounds to look like. So what I can do is just come up here to where you see that floor button and just use a sky. Now I'm not going to use a physical sky, just a regular sky, and that way I'm never going to go outside of the bounds of the sky, but it still can receive my texture. So I'll just drop my off-white texture on that sky, and already that makes it so much more readable. It's crazy how different that looks. But let's go ahead and just drop our navy blue onto maybe these parts of our text here. And then for our numbers, I think I'd like those to be the teal color. So you don't notice a lot of a difference in the teal and the gray. Now it looks like I accidentally dropped that teal onto my background, so it might be better for me to actually come over here to the Objects panel and just control drag that down through all of the percentages, because I know I want those all to be the same color. And I can do that really quickly and not worry about accidentally overshooting and getting it on the background. Now for the line, let's maybe try out our mauve color. So I'll just drop that in place. And then for the graph measurement, let's see how our yellow looks. If I zoom in a little bit more, not bad. So that may change a little bit as we continue to pan around, but I kind of actually like the contrast that we get with that color. So I'm happy with leaving that as it is. And then for my dates, let's go for the navy. So I'll come back down here and we'll drop on that navy color to the first date and then just control drag to all the rest. So we can really quickly just add that texture tag to all of those dates and not have to worry about overshooting it. So we have some very, very basic textures involved in this. And if you're not happy with some of them, if you think some of them should maybe be different, if you want a color to be brighter or just look different in general, feel free to switch up which colors you have assigned to which parts. But I would definitely recommend saying that each part should be consistent. So all of the percentages, make them one color. All of the dates, make them one color. I wouldn't switch the pieces of text up here to be two different colors. Other than that, I would say go for it and just change it however you like. Now in the next lesson, we're going to come in and start animating our camera, and we'll also have a camera rig. So it's going to be a very simple one, but it's going to help us to have a lot smoother movements. So I'll show you how to set that up and animate it in the next lesson.